The Filipino story in America didn't start with farm workers in the 1920s or nurses in the 1960s. It began centuries earlier, on Spanish ships crossing the Pacific, long before the United States existed. Our roots here are deeper than most realize, reaching back to the era of global trade and colonial empires. The first Filipinos in America were the Luzones Indios, sailors on the Manila Galleons, whose arrival marked the start of a 4th-century presence. Their story challenges the idea that we are simply recent immigrants or products of U.S. colonization. We are part of the continent's foundational fabric, our endurance and adaptation shaping American history from the very beginning. Let's rediscover this hidden past and reclaim our narrative, connecting the earliest Filipino sailors to today's vibrant communities. The Manila Galleon trade, a remarkable chapter in maritime history, spanned from 1565 to 1815. This era represents a pivotal moment in global commerce, connecting distant lands through the vast expanse of the ocean. It was, in essence, the world's first truly global supply chain, a complex network of exchange that predates modern globalization. This intricate system linked Manila, the vibrant heart of the Spanish East Indies, and Acapulco, a key port in New Spain, modern-day Mexico, with ships laden with Asian treasures, silks, spices, porcelain, and the ever-valuable silver from the Americas. At the heart of this maritime enterprise were the Filipino sailors, then known as Indios Luzones. They were an absolutely essential part of the crew. These men were not only skilled navigators and seamen, but also incredibly resilient, enduring brutal conditions aboard these ships that crossed the Pacific. The journeys were long, arduous, and fraught with peril. It was in 1587 that these Filipino sailors, after months at sea, first set foot on what is now American soil, landing in Morro Bay, California. This event marked the very first documented Filipino presence in North America, a moment often overlooked in mainstream history. Life aboard the galleons was harsh, and many chose to desert the ships upon reaching Mexico, seeking a new life ashore. Some integrated into the local Mexican communities, blending their culture and heritage, while others, driven by a pioneering spirit, ventured further north, seeking new opportunities and freedoms. By the 1760s, these early Filipino migrants, known as Manila men, had established unique settlements, such as St. Malo in the Louisiana bayous. Adapting to the environment, they built distinctive stilt houses over the water, a practical solution to the challenges of the swampland, and introduced new traditions that would become part of the local cultural landscape. These resourceful pioneers, through their hard work and community spirit, created some of the earliest Filipino-American communities in the United States. They played a vital role in blending cultures, weaving their traditions into the fabric of early American society, and laying the groundwork for future generations of Filipino-Americans. Their story, often untold, is a powerful testament to survival, adaptation, and a quiet but profound influence on the shaping of American identity. A story that began long before the well-documented waves of 20th century migration from the Philippines. The legacy of these often forgotten forefathers and foremothers endures, a testament to their resilience and determination. It lives on in the unique and vibrant tapestry of Filipino-American identity, a blend of cultures and experiences. Our history in America, unlike many others, began not with the formal process of immigration papers and Ellis Island, but with the courage and ingenuity of sailors and pioneers who dared to cross oceans and build new lives in unfamiliar lands. The Filipino-American journey, a story of resilience and adaptation, truly started on the shores of California and in the mysterious, enchanting bayous of Louisiana, centuries before the modern era. 1898 was a turning point, a year that dramatically reshaped global power dynamics and set the stage for the 20th century. It was a year of conflict, shifting allegiances, and the rise of new imperial ambitions. The Spanish-American War, a brief but impactful conflict, brought an end to centuries of Spanish colonial rule in the Philippines, marking the decline of Spain's once vast empire. The sounds of battle faded, and the Spanish flag was lowered, signaling a new era. But instead of the promised independence, the United States, fresh from its victory, stepped in to take control, raising its own flag over the archipelago. The Filipino people, who had fought alongside the Americans against Spain, soon realized their aspirations for self-determination were to be denied. The Treaty of Paris, signed by Spain and the United States, formalize this transfer of power, essentially selling the Philippines to America for a sum of $20 million, without any consultation with the Filipino people themselves. This act ignited the brutal Philippine-American War, a bloody and protracted conflict that pitted Filipino freedom fighters against the U.S. military as they fought for the independence that had been so cruelly snatched away. U.S. colonization brought with it a new system of English-language education, intended to assimilate the Filipino population and instill American values. Along with education came the propagation of American ideals, including democracy and individual liberty, even as these ideals were selectively applied in the colonial context. Yet despite the rhetoric of freedom, true self-rule remained elusive, as the Philippines remained under American control, with Filipinos having limited say in their own governance. As a result of this unique colonial status, Filipinos became U.S. nationals, occupying a peculiar legal limbo, neither fully citizens with all the rights and privileges that entailed, nor considered aliens subject to the same restrictions as other foreign nationals. This ambiguous status allowed Filipinos to travel to America with relative ease, bypassing the stringent immigration quotas and restrictions that were imposed on other Asian populations through measures like the Asian Exclusion Act. This new status, born out of colonial circumstance, opened the door for significant migration from the Philippines to the United States, transforming Filipinos from distant colonial subjects, living on the periphery of the American consciousness, to active and direct participants in the unfolding American story, contributing to its economy, culture, and social fabric. The historical relationship between the Philippines and the U.S. underwent a profound shift, moving from the era of the Manila Galleon trade to a complex colonial connection, setting the stage for subsequent waves of migration that would further shape the Filipino-American experience. The pervasive influence of American culture in the Philippines, particularly through the education system, profoundly shaped Filipino aspirations, planting the alluring idea of the United States as a land of unparalleled opportunity, a beacon of hope for a better future. The complex and often contradictory consequences of colonization would indelibly define the trajectory of Filipino-American life for generations to come, shaping their identities, experiences, and communities. In essence, the foundation was laid for a new and transformative chapter in the ongoing Filipino-American journey, a story of resilience, adaptation, and the forging of a unique identity in a new land. The early 1900s marked a significant turning point, witnessing the first major wave of Filipino migration to the U.S. This initial influx laid the groundwork for the vibrant Filipino-American communities we see today. It all started with the pensionados, bright, ambitious students carefully selected and sent to American universities. Their mission was clear: to gain knowledge and expertise, ultimately returning to the Philippines to become future leaders and contribute to the nation's progress. Soon after this initial wave of students, another group emerged, the cicadas. These were thousands of laborers, primarily young men, recruited for the backbreaking work on Hawaii's sprawling sugar plantations. The demand for agricultural labor also extended to the West Coast's farms, drawing even more Filipinos to American shores. These young men faced grueling work under the scorching sun, received shockingly low pay for their efforts, and were subjected to harsh discrimination at every turn. Despite these immense challenges, they found strength in unity and built tight-knit communities, offering each other support and a sense of belonging in a foreign land. They also recognized the power of collective action and formed labor unions to fight for fair treatment and better working conditions. Despite facing discriminatory, anti-miscegenation laws designed to prevent them from marrying outside their race, and enduring acts of violence fueled by prejudice, they persevered, creating vital spaces for camaraderie, cultural preservation, and unwavering resilience. The already difficult situation was further exacerbated by the Great Depression, which fueled anti-Filipino sentiment and scapegoating. This toxic environment led to the passage of the 1934 Tidings-McDuffie Act, a piece of legislation that tragically reclassified Filipinos as aliens, stripping them of certain rights and protections. The act also imposed severe restrictions on immigration, slashing the number of Filipinos allowed to enter the U.S. to a mere 50 per year. This discriminatory law effectively stranded thousands of Filipinos already in America, cutting them off from their families and homeland. It also nearly halted the arrival of any new immigrants, creating a sense of isolation and uncertainty within the existing communities. The era of mass labor migration, which had brought so many Filipinos to America, abruptly ended, Despite these setbacks, the foundation for vibrant and resilient Filipino-American communities had already been firmly established. These pioneers, against incredible odds, endured immense hardship, systemic exclusion, and blatant discrimination. Yet, their legacy of courage, resilience, and unwavering community spirit lives on, deeply embedded in the very fabric of the communities they painstakingly built from the ground up. Their collective struggle for dignity and equality, their unwavering solidarity in the face of adversity, paved the way for future generations of Filipino Americans to thrive and contribute to the rich tapestry of American society. The Filipino-American story, at its heart, is a powerful testament to the enduring human spirit and the unwavering perseverance against seemingly insurmountable odds. For decades, Filipino immigration slowed to a trickle, with only a handful allowed in each year. The 1965 Immigration and Nationality Act changed everything, abolishing racist quotas and prioritizing family reunification and skilled workers. Suddenly, a new wave of Filipino immigrants, nurses, doctors, engineers, arrived in massive numbers. Chain migration allowed families to reunite and communities to flourish in cities like Los Angeles, San Francisco, and New York. The demographic shifted from single male laborers to families and professionals, revitalizing Filipino-American life. Filipino Americans became one of the largest Asian groups in the U.S., bringing new energy and cultural pride. The 1965 Act transformed the community, opening doors that had long been closed. Filipino Americans now shaped their own destinies, contributing across all sectors. The modern Filipino-American community was born from this era of opportunity. Filipinos have become vital to American society, especially in healthcare. Thousands of Filipino nurses have cared for patients nationwide. In the military, Filipinos have served with distinction from the Philippine Scouts to generations in the U.S. Navy. Filipino Americans have enriched arts and culture, from Carlos Bulosan's writing to Lea Salonga's Broadway triumphs and Joe Coy's comedy. In labor, leaders like Larry Itliong helped spark the Delano grape strike, shaping the American labor movement. Filipino Americans are educators, activists, and innovators, fighting for justice and representation. Their creativity and resilience have challenged stereotypes and built bridges between cultures. The community's impact is seen in classrooms, hospitals, kitchens, and city halls across the nation. Filipino Americans continue to shape the country's story in countless ways. From the start, Filipinos in America faced racism. Segregation, violence, and exclusion were common. Laws barred Filipinos from marrying whites and stripped them of rights, while veterans were denied promised benefits. Beyond overt discrimination, Filipino Americans have struggled with invisibility and the model minority myth, which erases real challenges. The community's unique history is often overlooked, making it harder to address specific needs. Navigating identity means balancing cultures, confronting colonial mentality, and reclaiming our story. Filipino Americans are redefining what it means to belong, celebrating heritage while forging new paths. The journey is one of self-discovery, resilience, and pride. Our story is about overcoming obstacles and shaping our own identity. Today, Filipino Americans are a rising force, building on the activism of past generations. The fight for justice continues, especially for Filipino Watu veterans still seeking full recognition and benefits. Activists push for ethnic studies and the inclusion of Filipino-American history in schools, ensuring our stories are told. More Filipino Americans are running for office, bringing our voices to city councils, legislatures, and Congress. Political power is growing, making our concerns harder to ignore. The community is no longer silent. We are organizing, advocating, and demanding equity. The struggle isn't over, but we are shaping a more just future. Our collective voice is stronger than ever. Filipino Americans are claiming their place in the American narrative. The future of Filipino America depends on preserving our heritage, language, stories, and values passed down through generations. Community centers, artists, and families keep traditions alive, helping young Filipino Americans connect with their roots. As a growing dynamic community, we are leaders in healthcare, technology, education, and the arts. Our entrepreneurial spirit and political influence continue to rise. The journey from the first sailors to today's vibrant communities is one of resilience and hope. We face new challenges with the strength of our history and the promise of our future. The story of Filipino America is still being written by all of us together.